Hello, everybody. It's absolutely wonderful to see you. I'm just going to admit some more people. I was just saying this is a very interesting topic today because what we're covering are things like how to deal with trolls, how to deal with negative reviews, and all of that sort of thing that can cause real problems for us as practitioners, as people running training schools, even people running retreats and so on and so forth. And so what we're actually looking at doing is how to not just diffuse situations, and we're not also looking at just when to respond and when not to respond, but we're also looking at ways that we can actually use negativity and criticism and turn it to our advantage from a work and sort of a commercial perspective, if that makes any sense. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by sharing my screen. So if you bear with me 1 second, I'm just going to bring up our presentation today, and I will just, let me try and do this 1 second here. Let's bring us down a bit. Pop us there. I'm going to set myself as, sorry, 1 second, set myself as the pin that video there. Okay, and pop that there. That's it. So if I can just get a quick thumbs up from you, can you just tell me whether you can actually see that video? Great. Thank you very, very much. That's really appreciated. Good stuff. All right, let's jump into this right away. We'll probably actually get through this quite quickly. There will be more people coming in, so I'm just going to go through and let people in as they come along. And I haven't got a glamorous assistant with me today, so I'm doing it all sort of by myself. So it might be a little bit, hang on, I'll just let somebody else in. But as I say, what we're doing today is we're looking at ways of not just not responding, whether to respond, how to respond, but also turning negativity into a positivity, making lemonade out of lemons, if you like. So obviously the title today is Diffusing Trolls, Bad Reviews and Poor Online Feedback. So let me let Paulina in. She's coming in from America. Hi, Paulina. Here from America. Well done. Okay, so there we have a troll. So let's talk about trolls first of all. Aaron Buckles et al. Of the University of Manitoba sought to directly investigate whether people who engage in trolling are characterized by personality traits that fall under the so-called Dark Tetrad. So what I wanted to do first of all is we're going to address trolls, because this is something that I want you to really get a deep understanding of, and why we must not engage with trolls. You know how they say never feed the troll? So we're going to look at the types of things that trolls do, so that we can distinguish between somebody who's a genuine troll and somebody who is actually just criticizing you for another reason. So whether it's because they have genuinely come to see you and had a poor experience for whatever reason, I'm sure that's never the case, but you just don't know. Sometimes sometimes something can happen and it's entirely not your fault. I've seen somebody's poor review on a Google review on a practitioner's page, and it was that I didn't like my I didn't like my session because my bus was late, and so I was all flustered. And the practitioner did her best to calm me down, but I couldn't enjoy it because my bus was delayed. Well, that's completely out of the practitioner's control. But nevertheless, that person saw fit to leave a poor review. So it's a bit of a shame when things like that happen. It is annoying, but it can't really be helped, and you will get things like that. But what will happen is, later on, I'm going to show you ways of actually diffusing all of that sort of thing. I'm just going to let somebody else in. There we go. So let's look at trolls, genuine trolls, first of all. The Dark Tetrad include traits including Machiavellianism, which is somebody who's really willing to manipulate and deceive others. Of course, narcissism, egotism and self-obsession, psychopathy, actually genuinely psychopathic traits, the lack of remorse and empathy, and sadism, pleasure in the suffering of others. Now, they did a fantastic, this is published research, as you know. I don't just make this stuff up as I go along. You know, I do always make sure that, you know, everything we cover is evidence-based. So this was the this was the really interesting thing. People who scored really high in the Dark Tetrad: Machiavellianism, narcissism, psychopathy, direct sadism, and vicarious sadism. They scored very high in trolling activities. They didn't score high in non-commenting on posts. They didn't score particularly high on debating issues, but they sometimes get involved in that. They don't chat. And other, well, that could be anything really, but when it comes to trolling, they score really high. So what we know is, if you have got somebody who is trolling you and really looking to get a rise out of you, they're making comments that are nasty, sadistic, trying to, for example, we see it a lot, for example, on the vegan sites, where, you know, you'll have somebody post a nice vegan recipe, perhaps on a Facebook group or what have you, just a nice thing to share, you know, and then you'll get an actual troll come in and go, you know, some really nasty, sadistic animal cruelty post, you know, or something like that. That's an example of actual out and out trolling. You know, I've had trolls whereby, you know, they've made death threats, rape threats, and so on, done their best to try to cancel me by frightening me, to get me, you know, sort of offline and get me sort of not functioning within the complementary medical field. And of course, obviously, you know, when it first happened, you know, many years ago, we didn't even have words like trolling. So I didn't know what it was, and I thought these were genuine people. I thought that they were people who were really literally out to get me, and I was thinking, oh my God, you know, am I going to go outside and get shot or something like that? And because all of those years ago, we didn't have words like troll, we didn't have words like hater, and so on. And now we have words for these behaviors. It actually makes it easier. So, you know, it's, in a way, the internet is getting worse, but in a way, we're starting to understand and see the patterns. So that's what I want to say to you is, you know, if you do get trolling, and it, you know, when you get more well known, as soon as you really start putting your head above the parapet, you will get these things. So please don't do what happened to me. I developed an internet phobia, where I just sort of was frightened to open up my computer and go online for fear of what I was going to see next, because it was unprecedented all those years ago. I'm going back an awfully long time. And I just had no way of understanding that certain people behave these ways, because they are very damaged, very sad individuals. And I thought that these, you know, that these were, I didn't realize that this is what was going on. I didn't have the insight at that point, because I'd not seen anybody else going through it. Now we see everybody going through it, and so we just have to go, oh well, yeah, fine. But we don't engage with them, because what happens is that these people are basically, they are keyboard warriors. The study found correlations, sometimes quite significant, between these traits and trolling behavior. What's more, let me let somebody else in. It also found a relationship between all Dark Tetrad traits, except for narcissism, and the overall time that the individual spent per day commenting on the internet. So what that means is that it's obsessive behavior. So these dark, damaged individuals, this trolling activity becomes like an addiction for them, because what they're looking for is response. And this is why we always say, don't feed the trolls. If you've got somebody trying to get you to engage with them, and they are posting really sick, nasty stuff, and be careful and be honest. So really look at it carefully, because you will find there are some clever trolls, and what will happen is that they will tend to just lure you in with commentary, and then what will happen is that they will they will start to get worse and worse and worse, and the behavior, it escalates. Now, at this point, I'm just going to stop my screen. I see I've got a question. I'm always slightly worried. There's been some funny things happening on Zoom, so I'm just going to check just to make sure you can all see everything. So bear with me 1 second. Just bear with me. I'm going to see what I can see in chat. Just 1 sec. Right, okay. You know, my chat box isn't behaving itself at all. Okay. Do you know something? It's very, very odd. Ah, there we go. Oh, that's fine, Stacey. That's no problem, Janet. No problem at all. It's just I just wanted to check just to make sure that I had, you know, I wasn't not broadcasting or anything weird like that. Okay, let's go back to the screen share. That's fabulous. Thanks for letting me know. So, okay, so yeah, so these people behave, it is obsessive, and you know that this idea of somebody sort of in their basement waging psychological war is actually not too far from the truth. So that's the first thing about trolls. Just basically the best way to deal with a proper actual troll is simply delete the comment if you possibly can. If it's on, let's say, a Facebook review or a Google review, something like that, then I will say this again at the end, but I want you to hear it now, because, you know, sometimes when we're doing a tutorial, you know, sometimes you don't get all of the information, you know, we at best when we're lecturing or what have you, you know, you walk away with probably at best 30% of the information. So I'm going to say it now and I will say it at the end. If you get something really nasty and you can't delete it, as in a Facebook review or a Google review, unfortunately, you can't do anything about those. You can report them to Facebook, but Facebook, as you know, are a bit rubbish, as are Google. They won't tend to act on it, and they won't tend to, unless it's a really nasty, you know, violent threat or something like that, or, you know, you feel physically threatened, then they're not going to do much about it. But what you do is you come to the Complementary Medical Association and come to us on our Facebook page, get onto the Facebook page and put a post up saying, hey guys, I've just had this really nasty post. Please, can you go to my page? Can you give me some likes? You know, your Facebook group, your Facebook page, your Google profile, you know, give the details. You just make sure that you let everybody know, and we will all pile over there and we will give you some good reviews so that people can actually see on balance that this is a real anomaly. We're going to come on to that in a moment, a little bit more. But as I say, you know, they thrive on causing distress. Don't engage with them. If you can, delete and then, you know, move on. If you can't delete, just please come, as I say, to the CMA Facebook page, and we will engage on your site, giving you good reviews. And then, you know, remember with trolls, if they don't get a rise out of you, they will get bored and they'll move on to their next victim. So that's the way it works. Now, let's look at what the impact of negative reviews are for your business. So I think we can leave trolls, you know, firmly in the past, because we don't want to talk about them anymore. This is actually about negative reviews. There are two types of negative review. One is a review that where something actually bad did happen and the person has a justifiable reason for leaving a negative review, which of course I very much doubt is going to happen to any of you. Or let's say, you know, the number 9 bus was late and it's completely outside your control, but the person nevertheless says they had a bad experience. Well, you know, people are weird and things like that. You know, people do say really strange things. So you just never know. So what do you do about these things? So you get angry, defensive, and annoyed, just as if somebody was personally attacking you. I know, I really understand. I really understand that, because, you know, with the Complementary Medical Association, we work so hard. And, you know, if somebody sort of ever raises even in a minuscule sort of complaint, which is incredibly rare, but let's say somebody's sort of having a bad day and they pick up the phone and they're just having a moan about something, you know, we take it very personally because, you know, we work so hard. But we then have to, you know, divorce ourselves from that person's emotionality and realize that they're having a bad day and it's actually not really genuinely anything to do with us. Very few times do we ever actually fall over and drop the ball. Very few times, but, you know, we're not perfect. Obviously, nobody is. So, you know, you've invested so much into your business, and so I totally relate to that. And the thing about negative reviews is they can have actual consequences. For example, only 13% of consumers will consider a business with 1 or 2 stars. More than 4 negative reviews about a company or product may decrease sales by 70%. And small businesses with a 1 to 1.5 rating on Google generate 33% less revenue than the average business, which is why I'm saying to you, if you do get an untoward comment, you know, we can come and we can get the numbers up for you. And we'll do, you know, we can do this, you know, for each other. This is the thing. It's not just the CMA. posting, but it'll be, you know, everybody in the group. Call on the good graces of all of your comrades in the Complementary Medical Association, because we're all here to support each other. Negative reviews don't necessarily, though, have negative consequences. In fact, sometimes they add a bit of authenticity to your brand. If all of your reviews are positive, they sometimes come off as being potentially fake. So when you have a few reasonably negative reviews peppered in there, people tend to actually trust your brand even more. Very counterintuitive, but that actually is what the research says. In fact, 52% of consumers trust a software product if it has negative reviews, and negative reviews can increase conversions up to 85%. Isn't that interesting? Because I think what happens is they look at the overall positive reviews and go, well, actually, most people really, really like this, but somebody, especially if it's an honest negative review saying, you know, somebody's tried it, they didn't like it for whatever very legitimate reason. Well, I think people can intelligently look at that and go, okay, right, I understand where that person's coming from, but they've tried it, they left this. But most people actually are very satisfied with this product or service, of course, with us, you know, patients or courses or retreats or whatever it is you're offering. So it's very interesting. So don't panic if you get a negative review. Whatever it says, that the review says, it doesn't really matter. What really matters is how you respond. Most important, you've got to respond quickly. One of the biggest problems companies face is failing to respond to a negative review quickly enough. And it's totally understandable. As soon as you're aware of a negative review, set 5 minutes aside to address it. If you put it off too long, it makes your eventual apology come off as a bit insincere. Since most online reviews are date and time stamped, customers can see how long it took for you to get back to them. So it's not just the person with the complaint, it's actually other people looking at, oh, wow, look at them, look at that person, look at Mary, the aromatherapist, look how fast she's responded to that negative review. She's really on her game. Wow, okay, so she's somebody to be reckoned with. Reviews showcase you. Remember, you're not simply responding to the negative reviewer, you're responding to the thousands of potential customers or clients or students reading that negative review. People can tell when a complaint is valid or the reviewer is being too aggressive. I'm sure we've all seen this. So we know, don't we? We're intelligent people. We know what's genuine and what's somebody having a really bad day or just mischief making. If the complaint is valid, you look like a company that truly understands the importance of good customer service. If the complaint isn't valid, you still come out on top by taking the high road. Now, of course, you know, I'm talking in loose terms about company. When I'm talking about that, please obviously, you know, read between the lines and, you know, sort of think about it in terms of you with your practice or you with your school or you with your retreat or clinic. So, you know, I'm using the term company very, very loosely and the term customer very loosely because we're all here and we all do different things, although we're all involved obviously in the CMA. So just bear in mind that's where I'm coming from. So I'm using shorthand. Thank the person, first of all, for taking the time to write. Whenever someone writes anything about you or your service, they feel strongly about your business. Now, what we know from testimonials, and if you go and watch my video on how to get and use testimonials over on the Complementary Medical Association's YouTube channel, you've got to remember that although you may get just a handful of testimonials, they are representative of probably, each one is probably worth between 20 and 100 other people feeling incredibly positive about your business and service. But the thing is, most people just simply, you know, they think lovely things about you, but they don't always have the time to write. I spoke to a lady this morning, actually, who was renewing her CMA membership. And she's very often in these groups. If not, she'll go and catch up. And she said, you know, I haven't taken the time to write a testimonial, she said, but I really love the CMA. I said, oh, well, that's great. That's really, really lovely. She said, yeah, I love everything you do. It's absolutely marvelous. And I thought, wow, you know, that is so, so lovely. And, you know, so it's interesting because she hasn't had time, very busy lady, to write a testimonial. But my goodness, what a passion this lady has for the Complementary Medical Association. So you have that as well. The reason I'm not saying that just to blow our own trumpet, but I'm just saying that you will have it as well. For every testimonial you get, remember, you've got queues and queues and queues of other people feeling massively positive about you and the work that you do. So people feel very strongly if they take the time to write, and that also reflects on complaints. If somebody's, the worst thing, I will say the worst thing is if somebody just decides not to continue using your services and they just disappear into the ether. You don't know why. You've got no intelligence. You don't know what you could possibly do better or anything like that. So, it's really, really, really valuable to you if somebody takes the time to actually raise a complaint. So be grateful for those complaints. As I say, it goes to positive and negative reviews. So when somebody says something not so nice, you should thank them for taking the time to do so. It accomplishes a few things. It quickly diffuses the negativity. It makes your reviewer feel heard and valued and shows other readers that you're not petty. Make your response authentic and personal. People can tell now when you respond with a canned response. Since negative reviews can have such a real impact on your business, take the time to make them personal to the reviewer. Address them by name if you possibly can and introduce yourself. The goal is to humanize this interaction as much as you possibly can. Show empathy and understanding. When somebody writes a genuine negative review about your service or company, the first response is usually to get defensive. Of course it is. We all work so hard. And those feelings are okay. It's totally normal and everybody does it. Instead, try to put yourself in your customer's shoes. They were upset enough to write about their experience, and it's your job to figure out why. Keep it short. Most people who are, let's say they're coming in and they're just looking at your reviews just to see what they think, are they going to use your services or not? If you write reams and reams and reams, most people will just go, too long, didn't read. So, just don't do massive tones, mighty tones in response. Longer replies come off as a bit desperate or defensive. There's simply no need for drawn out explanations. The bottom line is that your customer is unhappy. If it's your fault, apologize. If it's not your fault, show empathy. So, hi, Mary, I am so sorry that your bus was delayed. That must have been very, very stressful for you. Obviously, when you came to see me, you explained about that, and I did my best to, calm you down and to provide the very best service possible. I remember at the end of this session that you said that you felt so much better. So you can see where you're really empathizing with the person and actually maybe talking about their experience and so on. And anybody reading that is going to go, wow, this person really cares. This is a good person. So you can, this is what I mean, turn these things to your advantage. Turn the negative review into a testimonial. As I said earlier on, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. It's a cliche, but it's true. If you really want to turn your lemon reviews into lemonade, you should follow up with the author of your negative review. More specifically, you should ask if the issue was resolved, and if so, whether or not you can get some public feedback on their experience. Seeing someone go from being angry enough to write a bad review to give a glowing testimonial will speak volumes about your company values. Other readers can see that you take customer service very seriously and that you genuinely care about making clients happy. In fact, a testimonial from someone who had previously written a bad review is likely to be one of your most powerful lead generating tactics. I've actually seen this a few times where somebody's raised a complaint and sometimes I've seen this and it looks like the person's just been having a really bad day and they're just kicking off for whatever reason, and this particular practitioner's been in the firing line, and the practitioners come back to them and really given them a very caring, a very loving response, and the person has then come back and actually responded incredibly positively. And I have seen this a few times, and these are the sorts of things that really massively grow business. So do bear in mind that this is something that you can use to your immense advantage. In closing, remember there's no such thing as bad publicity. especially now that you know how to turn poor reviews into a client-generating machine. Please keep me posted, and I will say it again, if you get any hassle online, let us know in the Complementary Medical Association Facebook group, and we will all mobilize to counter anything negative or unhelpful. So hopefully this all makes sense. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. It's all short and sweet today. I mean, today, honestly, it's not rocket science, any of this, is it? It's just pretty much common sense. But I hope that the information about trolls and the fact that they have genuine dark tetrad traits, these are not normal people. I hope that really underpins and underlines from a research perspective exactly why we need to not engage with them. So I hope that bit helps you. And then I hope that it helps to know a bit about, what to do and how to handle complaints online or poor reviews or anything like that. Any questions at all? Has anybody actually had any dodgy things happen to them online? By all means, unmute yourselves. It's a small group today, which is really nice for a change. So has anybody experienced anything like this at all? Excuse me while I drink my green juice. Yes, Paulina. Hi, lovely. It's good to see you.
Hello. I didn't experience really trolls, but you mentioned the other group of people who just disappear from your perspective,
Yes.
and you never know if you offended them somehow, or they just, I don't know, it's always bothering me because I want to know how can I improve my business.
Yes.
And sometimes I even send them a message like, how you doing, what's la la la, and it's again silence. So how you usually, I mean, it's most of the time I think might be not about my service, so they might decided to do the other way, just didn't work for them, particularly my way of doing things. But should you, like, I do anything for it, or just kind of let it go?
Yeah, if it's just like yelling down a great big black hole, where are you? Hello, and getting an echo back, then I would probably say just move swiftly on, because you can just keep banging your head against a brick wall and getting no response. It might just be something's happened in their lives. There could be all sorts of reasons, and I wouldn't spend time speculating, because you've got many more things to be getting on with. I mean, we're all very, very busy. So I would say if you're just not getting response back, then just leave it. That's fine. But do try to follow up and just check in with them. Are they okay? Is there anything that they need from you? Can you be of help at the moment? Just remember I'm here. And then if they come back and they say, well, I've actually decided to stop using your services, they may then give you a reason why. Or if they just have decided to stop using your services, by all means, go back to them and say, as long as they haven't said, because I'm absolutely disgusted, if that happens, then it might just be sensible just to say, go back and say, I'm terribly sorry, I didn't realize that there was something untoward. What can I do to sort this situation out? Or if it's just somebody being plain mean, don't go back to them. But if it's somebody that just says, I've stopped using your services, and there's no other explanation, then by all means go back to them and say, well, I appreciate that. That's absolutely fine. Remember, I'm here for you. But it would really help me immensely moving forward if you could let me know why, because it will help me shape my work for the future and the way that I help other people. And we do that at the CMO. If somebody ever says, writes to us and says, I'm cancelling my membership, then, it's very rare that happens. But if it does, we do always go back to them and say, was it something we did, or is it something else going on? Because we do need to know. It really, really helps us. We've never actually had somebody come back and say, it's what you did, you terrible people. What will tend to happen is that it'll be somebody saying, oh, I'm retiring, or I'm leaving the profession, or what have you. And so that's fine. At least we know that it's not something terrible that we've done, because of course, as we do take it personally, same as you all do. If somebody, sort of marches off in a huff from your practice, that's what you think. But actually, it might be nothing that you've done at all. It might just be that for whatever reason, they've gone in a different direction, or they've decided, or they've moved. You don't know. You don't always know what's going on. So don't project and start to create sort of pictures in your mind about what terrible thing might have happened. So I hope that helps, Paulina. But yeah, it's fine. As I say, do go back, do check it out if you possibly can, because it helps with your practice growth. So yeah, brilliant question. Thank you so much. Has that helped?
Yeah, it helped. Just a clarification, one thing. So do you actually try to reach them a few times, or just one time is enough if it's no response at all?
Depends. I would say actually it depends on your relationship with that client. If it's somebody that's just been to see you once, I would reach out maybe once, and if you don't hear anything back, then I would probably leave it. If it's somebody who's been a really good client and has come to you for some time, several sessions, and then they just go quiet, I would actually be really concerned about that, and I would reach out and maybe just send them an email or a text, or however it is you normally communicate with that person. Reach out maybe once or twice just to check they're okay, because you just don't know. Weird stuff happens. So I out of just sort of human kindness, I would reach out maybe a couple of times, but certainly no more than that, because you don't want to bother them. Or maybe reach out by email and reach out by text or WhatsApp or however because you don't know, maybe somebody's lost their phone. It could be as simple as that. So they've got no way of contacting you, maybe they don't have your number. So there are all sorts of funny things that do go on. So don't take these things personally. But yeah, yes, I would. As I say, it's relationship dependent.
Thank you. That's really great. And yeah,
pleasure, absolute pleasure.
Okay,
thank you. Anybody else? Has anybody else experienced any of these weird things at all? No? Okay, great. I was shaking his head. Lovely. That's great. Yes, Pauline.
I ask then one more question.
Of course you can, my love. Yes.
Because you also mentioned that it's sometimes not good that you have all 5 stars reviews, and this is what I have right now. It's not many reviews I have in my Yelp page and on my Facebook page, but they're all lovely. And when I'm asking for review, usually the people who really enjoyed the service, they spend time writing the review, and I answer to this. But it's all 5 stars right now. And it's absolutely true. I myself, as a customer, also enjoy some, 4 stars review when I see some people have some slightly negative things. And what to do about it? Just wait when the person will do it, or you do it kind of, you ask somebody to really specify some tiny things. What?
No, you're fine.
Okay.
Generally, you're fine. Good point. Shows you've been listening. Okay, so here's the thing. With us as practitioners, we probably only have a handful of reviews until we actually actively start to really, engage our clients and ask for reviews and so on. Really, the point I'm making is, don't worry if somebody leaves you a 4-star review, for example, or even a 3-star review. It doesn't matter. So don't to use a phrase, don't get your knickers in a twist, because the thing is, it doesn't actually matter. It doesn't reflect too badly on you. So you don't need to worry about it. If you get a 1-star or a 2-star review, people will look at that and go, oh, that's probably just somebody who's just not terribly nice. So they will tend to kind of ignore that. But if you've got all 5-star, that's perfectly okay. It's when you start getting hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of reviews. Let's say you're a product supplier. Let's say you're selling something on Amazon, for example. For those of us who are selling, I know there are certainly people sometimes in the group who are selling very successful products, for example, healthcare products and whatnot. That's a situation where you might get 5-star, 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 4-star, 5-star, 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 3-star, that sort of thing. Now that's where, if you've got reams and reams and reams of reviews, that's where those slightly less positive reviews, they're not negative, but slightly less positive, slightly less glowing, are actually, they will help. And so don't worry that you've got all 5-star reviews. I have. In fact, actually, I remember with my latest book, somebody gave me a 4-star review, and I was like, how dare you? How dare you? And then I read it, and actually it was really nice, you know, it really, really was fair. And the person had made a valid point. And I thought, okay, fine, I can live with that. It wasn't somebody being mean. And actually 4 stars is good, you know, so yeah, but it was, you know, I was very precious about my, you know, my perfect record. But no, please don't. This is really what I'm saying, is that if somebody gives you a 4-star review and it's fair, then that's absolutely fine. And, you know, if you get a chance to, you know, if you get a chance to engage and talk to them, you know, within the sort of, you know, within the feedback thing, for example, like a Google review or anything like that, where you can respond, then, you know, yeah, go for it and just be really, really nice and, you know, thank them for their time, etc., etc. So Paulina, don't worry, because I'm sure most of us here have probably got 5-star reviews. So yeah.
Thank you, Jenny.
Lovely, good question, thank you. Any other questions, anybody? Was that clear? Was it clear as mud? Is there anything else you'd like to raise? Or are we good? Are we all happy? Excellent, excellent, great. Well, this is a nice quick session today. Let me ask you, I'd love some feedback. I know so many of you are with me so often, which is so appreciated. So I'd love your feedback. Can I ask you, do you like, you know, would you prefer me to go for slightly shorter sessions, or do you enjoy the longer ones and where we get lots and lots of engagement at the end with lots of questions? I mean, how does it work for you? Either unmute yourselves or just leave some notes for me, because I'd love to know and get some feedback from you as to what works best for you, really. Owen. Elwyn, did you want to comment?
Hi there. Yeah, I find something that's done within 45 minutes is more comfortable.
Right. Okay. That's terrific. Thank you very, very much. Yes. Great. Really helpful. Thank you.
I think it depends on the topic, really. If it's something like trolling, I'd say that this amount of time would be perfect for it, but it all depends on the presentation and also questions as well. But for something kind of like testimonials, for example, you know, an hour long would be absolutely great, because you go really in depth and really cover all the points and so on. So I think it really depends, but all in all, I found them so useful. So yeah.
Oh, well, that's lovely. Thank you very, very much. So yes, so in that case, yes, I agree. And Janet, also, you're saying, Janet, it depends on the topic. That's true, actually, because sometimes we do have to get sort of really into the nitty gritty. But I'm very aware, Owen, of what you're saying about, you know, comfort. I think that's also very, very important, because, you know, staring at a screen, sitting still and so on is difficult. Paulina.
Yeah, I totally agree that it depends on the topic. Personally, for me, I'm struggling a little bit because English not my first language, and when it's a lot of content in a short period of time, I kind of struggle to process it very clearly. So if it's really not much to say and you can in a normal speed deliver that information, that's perfect. But if it's a lot of content, I would maybe prefer to spend more time, but make it really clear for myself that I get all the points.
That's really,
because
really
sometimes even the presentation is great, but it's a lot of content for me to listen and read at the same time. So it's my personal perspective to this.
That's absolutely fine. Obviously, as you know, we record the sessions so that they can be revisited. But this is why I do this technique of putting the words on the screen, because also, of course, you've got people who don't necessarily hear or hear terribly well, or for whom English is not the first language. So that's why I do that's why I teach in the way I teach, because the research in education shows that if you the worst thing you can do is put words on a screen and then change what you're saying, so you get this weird disconnect between the words that people are hearing and the words that people are reading, and it fries the brain and you can't take anything in. So that's why I do this reading thing. And it's very interesting, because some people say, oh, you shouldn't read PowerPoints. But I beg to disagree, and that is
it's really helpful. I totally agree. When it's a mismatch between those two things, it's terribly difficult. But sometimes speed is fast for me, even to read and hear. This is what I'm talking about. I totally agree. It's helpful for me. when you read the presentation.
Great. Okay, that is really helpful. Thank you so much. That's fantastic. And as Nat says, yes, it's hard to please everybody. Yeah, of course. Oh, I know.
Totally agree.
It's the one thing you can guarantee, isn't it? You know, you can't please all the people all the time.
Yeah,
I think
never.
though, yeah, sorry.
And actually, I appreciate that you mentioned about the hearing issue, because I'm partially deaf and I really struggle like following classes, either in person or online. But yeah, using headphones or putting the volume up, yeah, it helps. But as you say, reading the notes, yeah, makes sense, definitely makes sense. And I really love the topic today. This is my first webinar that I follow, so I really like the idea of the trolling, because I think we've all kind of been subject, especially now with the COVID or Brexit before, you know, this sort of conflictual topics online, or even with family and friends. Sometimes it's not really trolling, but it's like, oh, how can I step into the other person point of view without wasting my time, energy, or so it was, lovely.
Yeah,
Great
actually,
topic.
that's so interesting what you're saying, because yes, we're in such a divisive time, aren't we? You know, where, you know, friends have got one opinion about what's going on, we've got another opinion, and yeah, it's very tricky. We're all sort of on like a tightrope, aren't we, about trying to do this weird balancing act. So yeah, that's really true. Thank you for mentioning that. That's brilliant.
Well, thank you for bringing up the topic. That's really what really called me more, because thank you very much. So
pleasure, Nat. Thank you so much. That's lovely. Great. Any other questions? Stacey, Carol, anybody else? Are we all happy? Okay, well, look, I don't want to keep you all afternoon, so much as I would love to, actually. You know me. It's not because I want to just keep talking, it's because I just enjoy hanging out with you. That's the whole thing. I don't want to keep talking at you. I'd love to keep talking with you. That's really what I'm trying to say. But look, what I just want to say is, as always, in closing, thank you for being so amazing. Thank you for being here today. And thank you for taking your beautiful work out into the world. It's so important. And we just appreciate you so much. So thank you for being with me. All the very, very best. Lots of love to you all. Take care. Bye-bye.